Here we want to factor x squared minus x minus 12 using this guess and check method. It's going to work quite nicely because the leading coefficient is 1, the number in front of x squared. So our factors are both going to start with a 1x because x times x gets us x squared. So now here's where the guess part comes in. We have to find two numbers that multiply together to give us negative 12. And there's different options. There's negative 12 and 1, negative 6 and 2, negative 3 and 4, and we can also switch the negative on those numbers. So we're going to go ahead and guess one of those pairs. So let's say we guess negative 6 and positive 2. So those multiply to give us negative 12. But we have to make sure that the middle part of this is satisfied. So the check part is performing the multiplication. So we know x times x is x squared. That's the first part's multiplied. We have to check what happens when we multiply the outer and the inner parts. So x times 2 is 2x. Negative 6 times x is negative 6x. And of course, negative 6 times 2 is negative 12. But we already knew that because that's why we picked negative 6 and 2. So we need to check the middle parts, the 2x and the minus 6x, multiplying outer and inner. And that's going to give us negative 4x when we add that together, which is not negative x. So that was the wrong guess. So we try another guess. Well, negative 6 and positive 2 didn't work out. We're going to go ahead and go with x minus 4, x plus 3. And again, we only need to check the outer and the inner parts. So outer is plus 3x and inner is minus 4x. And when you add those together, you get negative x. So this is the correct factorization. X minus 4 times x plus 3. Two numbers that multiply to give us negative 12, but notice that they add to give us negative 1. Now let's factor x squared plus 6x plus 9. So we have x and x as the beginning of each part of the factors, and we're looking for those two numbers that multiply together to give us 9. So there's only 9 and 1 and 3 and 3. Of course, we could also pick negative 9 and negative 1, or negative 3 and negative 3, but notice the middle term is a positive, so we don't want to introduce any negatives. So we're going to go ahead and choose positive 3 and positive 3. That's two numbers that multiply to give us positive 9, and notice they add together to give us positive 6. So if we were to check, if we were to multiply this all out, so x times x is x squared, plus 3x, plus 3x, plus 9 after distributing, we end up with x squared plus 6x plus 9. So this is the correct factorization. You actually won't typically see it left like this because we can rewrite it as x plus 3 as a quantity squared. There's two copies of the same thing being multiplied, so we can write this as x plus 3 squared. This is also a nice time to notice why we cannot distribute an exponent over addition. So a lot of students want to write this as x squared plus 9, but we could see that those are not equivalent, that you would be missing out on this plus 6x part. So it's just a nice reminder that we cannot distribute an exponent over addition. For one last example, we'll factor x squared plus 14x minus 32. So we'll start each factor with x and x, and two numbers that multiply to give us negative 32, but add to give us 14 are going to be plus 16 minus 2. So when we multiply outer and inner, we'll get negative 2x plus 16x, that's 14x. And of course, last is negative 32.